Dr. James Thornton, Unscripted.
All right, we are rolling, Dr. Thornton. Tell me your story.
There has never been a time in my life that I didn't want to be a doctor. It was just what I honestly feel like I was destined to do. My dad was selected as a NASA scientist astronaut when I was 7. And so I grew up surrounded by very capable, high performers setting a high bar. I had a miserable initial college experience, and my overall grades were horrible. In the last year of college, it's like, well, I've got to get serious about this. I wrote a number of letters to every dean of every medical school in Texas, and in 1985, UT Southwestern took a chance on me. I finished medical school here, did a general surgery internship, and then left for 3 years of active duty as a flight surgeon in the Navy. Absolutely wonderful time. It's probably one of the best jobs, certainly in the military. And some of the habits that are just givens for soldiers and sailors, showing up on time, being prepared, being responsible for others, I think are very, very good currency, and I've certainly tried to pass it on to residents. We drill it a lot that anything you do is everything you do. It's UT Southwestern work and it's family at home, and we were all in on both those. Katina was a year behind me in medical school, essentially an instant attraction, but I wouldn't even say it was a courtship. It was more of a ground war. Her stuff on the front lawn, my stuff on the front lawn, breakup, makeup. And when we were married, several years after we met, I don't think anyone gave us any confidence at all for making it, and here we are 35 years later. Through it all, Katina and I have 6 children, 2 older boys and 4 daughters. Both boys are residents in New York, and I've got a girl that's in medical school. What stood out on UT Southwestern, and what has stood out through my entire career here, is their commitment to patients. Even though for us it's 2 or 3 or 4 surgeries a day, realistically it's one of the most important days in that patient's life. All these patients initially will get my cell phone number because I want them to know that somebody is in their corner with them going through that.
Is there maybe a type of trauma that has stuck with you over the years?
When one of my daughters was 7, she was walking down the alley looking for her lost rabbit. A neighbor turned into her and driving their Suburban and basically ran her over. And my wife scooped her up and called me driving into the emergency room, and I was just starting a case at Zao Hospital. And it's one of the most difficult periods of having to put that out of my mind while I fully concentrated on completing the surgery and gave that patient my full attention, and then walk over to Children's Hospital and see my daughter, and she went on to recover fine. But I realized that we have to develop a skill set to manage equally serious patient complications and maintaining that same level of commitment that we would have for our own child, but separating the emotional standpoint out of it to a degree, because otherwise we physically wouldn't be able to survive. My specialty is plastic surgery, primarily nasal reconstruction. And when you think how audacious it is for the majority of things that we do, it's like, I'm making a nose up on your forehead and I'm bringing it down here, and it's got to work and be matched texture and color by millimeters. That single person craftsmanship of taking care of people with your hands is irreplaceable.
What's a surprising interest that people might not know about?
I think we all end up with these things even later in life, little itches that need to be scratched. And I had always wanted to do a halo jump. A halo jump is anywhere from 30 to 40,000 feet, which is what airliners fly at. And it's freezing, and you can start to see the curvature of the earth. You stand at the door, and for the year of training, it was so well worth it just to take that jump, and you fall and you fall and you fall. I only needed to do it once, and I got it out of my system, and I'm glad I did it.
If you could share one piece of advice for your younger self at the start of your career, what would it be?
I think it's important to take pleasure in the journey, to take pleasure in the process, because it's additive, it's important, it's working towards a very desirable goal, and it's actually pleasurable.